This week in trading history, and so
Okay, what do you got for us, Patrick?
well, so Kev, I'm going to ask a question, and I'll even ask it to the listeners. Okay, obviously, I preface it as a question, which then everyone knows it's a trap question. But how many people actually believe that the Dow Jones Industrial Average was the first indice to ever have been created? Uh,
I was sure
yeah,
it was.
and
I
it's
must
number
say,
two.
you told me this story, and
It's
yeah,
number two.
I had no
It's
idea.
number two.
I
It was
yeah.
actually the Dow Jones Transportation Index that was the first indice ever made. And it was still made, obviously, by Charles Dow and Edward Jones, who put it together. But to just put it in context, it wasn't just by a couple months or a couple years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the one we know and have talked about in the past shows, came into existence in May of 1896. But the transportation index, the Dow Jones Transport Index, came in on July 3rd, this week in history, July 3rd, in 1884, literally going back even 12 years prior, right?
Wow, I had no idea.
And so what?
1 second, Patrick. Before I got to interrupt, even more surprising is the fact that Charles Dow was the original hipster.
Oh yeah, look at that hipster beard on him, eh? That's
Yeah, look at the haircut. Like that guy, literally, you know what? He puts on a plaid jacket and he fits right in 2019.
oh yeah,
you
look at
think?
that slicked hair and everything. Like he's one handsome
Like
fellow.
that guy's a hipster.
He's
Yeah.
got this sour beer in his hand there and everything.
That's like you, and then I'm like the bald dude on the right there, Edward Jones.
I can't grow a beard
just
for the
gotta
life
grow-
of me, dude. So,
Yeah, I got to grow this crazy mustache like Edward Jones.
but so just to continue with the story, right? So what the interesting part of the story is that okay, it was originally published. So Charles Dow created the Wall Street Journal, right? And the Wall Street
Right.
Journal, though, the first issue of the Wall Street Journal was actually July 8th of 1889, 5 years after this indice. So
Wow.
What happened was that Charles Dow and Edward Jones in the Dow Jones Company published a customer's afternoon letter, a daily 2-page financial news bulletin that was the precursor to the Wall Street Journal. That was actually published, and that was where they came up with the transportation index at the time, and it consisted of 11 stocks, of which 9 of them were railroads, and 2 of them were some form of delivery companies or some other thing. So they were made up of Chicago and Northwestern, D&L Western, Lakeshore, Lewis and Nashville, the Missouri Pacific, New York Central, Northern Pacific, then you had Pacific Mail, St. Paul, Union Pacific, and Western Union. And Union Pacific is the only stock that remains in the indice.
You're kidding.
Yeah, Union Pacific, right? So
I did not
and
know
so
that.
that's the only one stock out of all of them. Now, Western Union was a much different. It was the telegraph company. It was it became more of a financial company, and was taken off of the index later on. And Western Union still, to some form or another, exists. It's not the same company it was back then, but those were the companies that made up the index. And so today, it's 20 companies that make it up. A lot of these railroads and shipping delivery companies and air transports, everything from the UPSs and FedExes and stuff like that are all on there. But that was the original transport index that was put out there. Now, I want to eventually in the future episodes, I want to circle back to Charles Dow and go to Dow theory and all of the stuff. And a lot of technicians use Dow theory still to this day. But I thought that today's little history lesson is really about the fact that this was the original index, and it dates all the way back to July 3rd of 1884.
That's a great story, Patrick. I just wonder if Charles Dow knew about the prairie dog formation.
I doubt it. Oh, he probably did.